What is up, my friends? It is Sunday night, and you are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. As always, a massive thank you to our friends at the Collector's Corner. We did do the draw, and Connor has emailed the winner of the framed and signed Steven Gerrard shirt. Don't worry though, if you weren't a winner, we'll have another competition coming up this month. And if you'd like to get yourself 20% off anything at the Collector's Corner, remember to use the code Anfield Agenda 1. And before there's a million comments, I spotted one, and you are right. The thumbnail was misspelled, but for once I can actually say correctly. This isn't a Craig situation. I've messaged Connor because he's the thumbnail designer, so I'm sure when he spots it, he'll fix it. But you are right, the word belittling was misspelled. There was no L at the end of it. But don't worry, we'll get that one sorted out for you. But well spotted, right? Ladies and gents, lots to get through tonight as always. Thank you for joining me. It's been a bit of a mad day on the right back front. 1 minute we were in for GEERTRUIDA, then the next minute that deal wasn't happening. We'll try to keep you up to date with what's going on with that one. We'll of course have a little chat about yesterday's victory over Newcastle. A result that still leaves us in 6th place in the league, but the gap is starting to be created now between the top 6 and the chasing pack, so we'll go through that one. Casper, how are you, bro? Love to you and your family, Craig. Thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Very kind of you, and thank you so much, mate, for being with us as a member for 11 months. 11 even. Connor said he fixed the thumbnail there now. There you go. So it's all fixed, but well spotted. I didn't spot it. I'm not even going to lie. I didn't spot it, and he sent me the thumbnail and everything. So, yeah, well done. Well done on spotting it. You've helped me hugely over the last few years. Thank you, Casper, man. That's really kind of you. Appreciate your support. Stevie boy, how are you, dude? Only hope Edwards leaves the club. The man is poison. Wow. Look, there is a lot I want to talk about tonight, and a lot I want to get off my chest. But one thing that's really stuck out to me over the last week, it's getting worse, but it's really starting over the last week, is the division and how they are trying to portray you as, well, not really fans. We'll talk about that tonight, what that means and what we can do to show them that they're wrong. Eddie said, if Slot is still manager next season, I'll no longer be watching Liverpool games. I can't go to another season with him as manager. So, look, there's a lot to go through tonight. And the narrative that's been painted by a lot of the written media is that fans inside the stadium are the real fans, and that you, the fans around the world or online, are the toxic negative fans. And it isn't me imagining it. I've been showing you bit by bit over the last week, more and more versions of it coming out. You're probably wondering as well why a couple of my posts have been a bit reflective and a bit defeatist, maybe over the last 24 hours. And the honest answer about that is, it's because I'm exhausted. I'm tired of being vilified and painted as the villain. Right now, we are at a time where we're being told that the narrative inside Anfield is very supportive and behind the manager. Dominic King and many other journalists pointing to one banner held up by one man inside the stadium as a means to say that they are still behind the manager and that the toxicity is coming from the keyboard warriors online. Now, ironically, I would argue that the keyboard warriors are actually those journalists who are alienating fans. And if Liverpool are happy to go down the route where the journalists covering the club are belittling fans all around the world, then little bit of advice to you. 2 things. 1, stop opening the 220 shops around the world that you have done over the last while, because if you're happy to take fans' money, then those fans are happy to have an opinion and should be entitled to an opinion. And to the journalists, you'll have to forgive me if I don't take information from an Arsenal fan on how to be a good Liverpool fan. So you'll have to forgive me if I'm not taking my my standard bearing from an Arsenal fan or an Everton fan, or, you know, somebody whose medium is in trouble and they're just trying to keep their, I would say they're paymasters, but I don't even know if they are getting anything from it, but they are doing the good boy job. So quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I'm exhausted because I'm forever being belittled. I'm forever being painted as toxic. And here's the thing. These cowards don't have the courage to say what they want to say. They hide behind vague phrases, the journalists, and talking about online toxicity. We know what you mean. Just come out and say it. have the balls to say what you want to write. You want to write that only the match-going fans are allowed to have an opinion, that only the match-going fans are the real fans. But you can't ignore the 200 million Liverpool fans around the world that pay for their shirts, that pay for their subscriptions, that pay for their All Red memberships, that pay for their overseas club memberships, that pay for their television subscriptions, that pay for their streaming subscriptions. You know, the ones that keep the club afloat, as well as, of course, the great match-going fans. This division was crazy. It's crazy. And it's so short-sighted and it's so stupid that I actually first thought I was imagining it. Now I know that it is an intentional tactic to divide and conquer. Because you apparently aren't entitled to an opinion. And I'm going to try and give you some examples of that tonight as to why this is actually the toxicity. This is the negativity. It's trying to convince the world that what they see, their own feelings, are incorrect. And this isn't going to happen because you'll see how little interaction these journalist posts and articles are actually getting. Because people know they're bought and paid for. People know they're full of it. People know that they are just trying to keep a certain cohort happy. Well, it's up to you whether you fall for it or not. This is a pivotal moment. You stand up and make sure that your voice is heard, or you become collateral damage. Up to you which one you choose. I don't know how much I have left to go on doing this, to be honest with you, because it's taken its toll on my family and it's taken its toll on me. I thought we were a tourist club, said Kieran Allison. You know, not loud, Kieran. So let me give you an example of what I mean. I open up the Echo, have a little look. First piece that I met with is Liverpool crowd starting to turn as Arna left in no doubt of a new challenge. With the picture of the banner, Arna Slot's slot machine, Believe. You know the one Dominic King went out of his way to highlight last night. Then we move on to Craig Hope of the Daily Mail, and this is what Craig Hope has to say. For Arna Slot, this was his side's first win from a losing position this season and was capped by Florian Wirtz's 6th goal in 10 matches in the second half. Isak may be stuck in the stands, but his fellow summer rivals are the key to unlocking Liverpool's campaign. Here's the part that I'm trying to get to, though. Slot and Howe have shared common ground of late, inconsistency of results apart. And that is a vocal minority of supporters armed with a keyboard, if not a compelling argument, who want change in the dugout. In Slot's case, that view lacks appreciation for the triumph of last season and empathy for the trauma of the summer and death of Diogo Jota. He deserves time, this season at least, to process both emotions and new personnel. Ian Doyle, the Anfield crowd has always been the real barometer, and things have started to turn this week. Again, with a picture of that Arne Slot banner. This is almost laughable, folks. It's actually almost fucking laughable. That they are, and don't tell me this isn't orchestrated. Don't tell me this narrative isn't being pushed out there on purpose. Because I've asked match-going fans today, can I put them on the record? Can they read out their thoughts on the situation and those around them? And again, I'm going to say, be under no disillusionment. You aren't alone. Your criticisms are fair, and these people don't live in reality. They're trying to tell us that it's the online fans that are the toxic keyboard warriors. Well, they must be very, very loud if they managed to find their way into Anfield and boo last week all the way from their keyboards. Are we not acknowledging that now? These people are absolutely insulting fans all around the world. Anybody who is critical is toxic. Anybody who is online is negative, and you aren't allowed that opinion. It doesn't carry any weight because the good guys, the journalists, have told you so. Up to you now what you do. Like I keep saying, up to you. I hate to say it, but I wasn't happy with another Dutch player being signed. A Slot shouldn't be having a say on it, but that's Liverpool for you just now. Look, I don't know what, excuse me, I don't know what sparked the GEERTRUIDA interest. I have no idea if that was a Dutch thing, if it was a convenience thing. I don't know. I haven't got a clue. It kind of just came around quickly today. And we started off with a post from Ben Jacobs that said, major breaking, Liverpool, they're not expected to proceed with GEERTRUIDA. Decision made that is not viable after being offered the chance to sign the defender. Alex Crook said Liverpool are not planning to push ahead with this deal. Player was keen, but Joe Gomez close to a return to fitness, and the hope is that Frimpong is not far behind. So we put up a poll when we started the chat tonight, and we asked everybody, do you think Liverpool will get a right back in over the line before the window shuts tomorrow? And we'll check back in on that one in a little while. And honestly, like I said yesterday, I'm okay with the right back situation. If we could get one in to help us tide us over, great. But the one that's always stood out to me is the centre-back situation. That's the one that I really can't figure out what we're trying to do, or what we aren't doing, I should say. So, yeah, disappointed that we haven't managed so far, and it's not looking likely to get one in. But I really, really just want to say tonight from the bottom of my heart that whatever happens, remember, you're entitled to an opinion. Whatever happens, remember that you aren't alone, even though it may feel like it on occasion, even though you might feel like your money matters, but your voice doesn't. You do have a voice. You can use that voice, and you are entitled to have an opinion, despite what these belittling pricks want to do and say. What happened? Just tuned in. So, like I've said, mate, over the last few days, we couldn't even enjoy the win yesterday. Couldn't enjoy the win before the belittling starts again. So Dominic King posts last night, and I'll show you what Dominic King wrote, and then we'll go from there, because it really is just laughable at this point, but this is where we're at in the world. Let me just grab this post for you. I want to make sure I can get it correct. So this is the post. Let me just read it out in its entirety so I won't be misquoting anybody. So Dominic King posts, Arna's slot machine believe, proclaims a banner front and centre of the Kop. Well, firstly, Dominic, I know details matter to you journalists, but in line with the 18-yard box isn't front and centre, but, you know, details and all that, Dom. And then he said, contrary to what you're being told in certain quarters of this space, i.e. Twitter, which is where he posted it, plenty remain behind Liverpool's head coach. And then, of course, they all started. That banner was front and centre of every post, from Doyle, from the Echo. It's fucking laughable that they're trying to convince you that what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and what you're feeling is wrong, and that you're not good enough. It's pathetic. And they talk about keyboard warriors. They are the keyboard warriors. They are the ones that are armed with the pen. The problem is their influence is dwindling, as you've seen by the growth of fan content over the last few years. You've seen it with your own eyes. It continues to go from strength to strength. So, up to you how you progress from here and move forward. I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to live your lives. But I've always been somebody from the start of this channel that has been a voice to speak up for fans who may be in other parts of the world. To think that people think that you're not allowed an opinion because you're online. They hide behind vague phrases because they don't have the balls to come out and say what they really want to say. What they really want to say is, only local fans matter. That's what they really want to say. Now, this isn't a dig at local fans, because they're not the ones saying it. This is a dig at the journalists who are once again trying to paint a picture that only match-going fans are allowed and entitled to an opinion. Well, here's one for you, lads. I dropped about 1,600 quid going over to watch Liverpool lose 2-1 to Manchester United. My match ticket alone, face value, cost about €830. The price, roughly, of a season ticket. Am I not entitled to an opinion? Does my money not count? And the three people, that were with me from America, that travelled over from Boston, that flew over, stayed in Liverpool for 3 nights, also paid the same price for their tickets through the club. Are they not entitled to an opinion? Are they not real fans? If they go online and dare say anything that isn't with the narrative, they're toxic. I've told you the playbook. I've said it for years. There is no room whatsoever for any type of counter-argument or any type of pushback from Liverpool fans. None. It doesn't exist. You're not allowed to do it. So I've pretty much had my fill of it. And I'm at the point now, like I said, in the messages and WhatsApp and stuff, where I'm taking into stock of my own future and what's good for me, my health and my family. Because this has been embarrassing, to say the least, that our great football club, that was built upon the tradition of welcoming people in from all around the world, is resorting to this. This is where we are at now. The line has been drawn in the sand. You either are a match-going fan every week or you're an online toxic keyboard warrior. Again, up to you how you want to proceed. Jamie said, keep up the fight, Craig. You're saying how we feel, or me anyway. Mate, I only ever give my opinion on here. People share that opinion a lot of the time. Sometimes they don't. At this moment in time, be under no doubt, you aren't on your own. Last night was brilliant. I very much enjoyed it. It was a real throwback to what's possible. And we'll talk about the game tonight. Of course we will. But I had to open up the stream by talking about this because it is embarrassing that this is the position we're in. Now, like I said, I've surveyed and asked some match-going fans for their opinion and asked them could I use that opinion. And I'm going to read that out to you in a moment. What a season ticket holding match-going fan has had to say about his time and those in and around him. So let me read it out to you. Now, this gentleman's called Danny. I don't want to give away his surname because I don't want to get him into any hot water, even though he told me crack on. He said, everybody around me, and me included, have given up on Slot and not a single one is backing him. All agree the football is probably the worst it's been since Hodgson. The football or style he tries to play is not the Liverpool way of playing and will never win the fans over. That's the general consensus anyway. And that tallies with season ticket holder after season ticket holder, match-going fan after match-going fan that I talk to on a regular basis. So again, who are the people that are truly supporting of the manager? Where are they? Because you'd be told that you're in the minority and that you're toxic. I'm not saying there aren't people that are behind the manager, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't be behind the manager. All I'm trying to point out here is the vilification, once again, of fans who dare to have a differing opinion, who dare to say that something isn't good enough. You're either a spoiled child, as Mark Ogden of ESPN tried to say the other night. Ian Ladyman said that Liverpool know that there is a difference between the match-going fan and the online fan, but they're more than happy to take your money. They'll continue to take your money. They'll also just know that, well, their opinions don't matter, but the money does. So my question to all of these journalists would be, in the modern day, where would Liverpool or any football club be if it wasn't for the legions of fans around the world? Over 200 million, by the way, of which Liverpool have. So where would any football club in the top flight be without the support of that fan base, financially or otherwise? And are those fans not entitled to an opinion? If you don't like that opinion, that's absolutely fine. Counter it. But to just belittle an entire group of people as toxic is fucking pathetic. They're a bunch of sheep and have been told what to say. It's sad, said James Hart. And again, mate, you couldn't make this up. And there's connections to all of these groups, by the way. All of them. All of them either worked for the club, worked for the club, or worked with each other on a newspaper. And they're all just patting each other on the back while sticking two fingers up. Now, how the fuck am I going to listen to an Arsenal fan reporting on my club, telling me how to feel and what the Liverpool way is? Fuck you. How about that? Fuck you. I'll have my opinion and you can continue writing articles to nobody and then trying to charge a £5 a month. Your comment didn't even have one fucking response underneath it after hours. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares what you have to say. But don't dare belittle Liverpool fans again. It happens over and over, season after season. Every time somebody dares to question anything about the club, straight away the belittlement starts. Want more transfers? Liverpool fans want to be like Chelsea and Manchester City fans. That was the same fella. So where is the respect? City bottling to Spurs' peak. Game of two halves. That was a crazy game. That was a crazy game. What a goal from Dominic Solanke, by the way. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Kind of scorpion kick. Absolutely unbelievable. And I want to talk about refereeing actually in a while as well, because there's a lot I want to talk about on that front. David, thank you, man. Appreciate you, as always. Thank you. Right, let's get into your comments. Haley said, I'm not in that minority. I want that gobshite gone. And if that makes me sound toxic, then fuck it. I want a club who wins games, look like they're enjoying their football, and these lads don't look like that. So last night was beautiful, wasn't it? It was a throwback game. But what I found interesting about last night was, why did it take 35 minutes again and for us to go behind before we really sprung into action? Because the opening 35 minutes, I think it's fair to say we were probably second best. We had a warning from Harvey Barnes hitting the post, and then obviously Anthony Gordon found the opener. But the response to that was brilliant. The response to that should be the new standard. That's what we know. That's what we recognise. And that, my friends, is what Liverpool fans have been talking about when they've complained about the style of football, when they've complained about Arner, when they've complained about the monotonous slow play. Because that last night, that last 65 odd minutes or that last 60 odd minutes, that is what Liverpool fans will connect with. That is what we know they're capable of. And that is why we've been trying to hold the manager and those above him to account, because that simply hasn't been happening often enough this season. And to keep making excuses about it and to keep talking about the passing of somebody, it boils my blood. To just use it as an excuse is pathetic. It's part of life, it's a tragedy, and it happens, and no doubt would have been difficult. But don't try to make out like it's the reason the manager's selections have been happening, the style of play has been happening. That's on the coach. They call us glory hunters when in fact Slot was the only one who insulted the club by trying to make it seem like Liverpool had only won the Premier League twice in the last 35 years, said Matt Denny. Yes, mate, exactly. You didn't say that. I didn't say that. The manager, the head coach said that. The head coach said it was a good thing that we went out, or sorry, maybe it was a good thing we went out of the Champions League to PSG because it let us play one game a week and win the league, even though we were 15 points clear. So I have a decision to make what I do, because it's tough. And I'm not looking for your sympathy, but it's tough because I am one of the lone voices, and I'm certainly there to be shot at by people when they need time to have a poster boy for toxicity. I don't view myself as a toxic human being in any way, shape or form, but what I won't be is a fucking sheep. What I won't be is part of the problem. That's not going to happen. So this, take with a pinch of salt, because it's from a journalist that I wouldn't be putting my reputation on, but Santi_J_FM has said, breaking, Liverpool now in pole position to sign Jeremy Jacquet. Negotiations are underway to try to reach a definitive agreement in the next few hours. That would be a move for the summer, if I'm not mistaken. But if it does come off, good news, because we do need to bring in centre-backs. Would have rather getting one in this month, but look, if you can win that battle, win that race, let's see what happens. Now, on that, interestingly enough, I want to just go back through my notes and read you what one of the journalists had to say about that a few days ago. Kaveh Solokol of Sky was quoted as saying that he only wants to go to Chelsea. So I don't know what's happened there since, or whether Kaveh's information was just incorrect, but that was the reporting, or at least credited to Kaveh Solokol the other day, that Jeremy Jacquet only wanted a move to Chelsea. So we'll wait and see what happens. Martin Lawrence said, Craig, I didn't believe the rumour we were going to sign GEERTRUIDA. In fact, I don't believe anything coming from the club hierarchy or the manager. I no longer feel a real connection with the club. I didn't really, do you know what? Honestly, Martin, I didn't even get a chance really to think too deeply about the GEERTRUIDA stuff, because by the time I was working my way around to getting to it, it was kind of already falling apart at that stage. So I never really got a chance to sit there and process it. Just a quick reaction to it would have been understandable. A short-term solution at right back till the summer is probably a fair enough solution, in all honesty. But again, I keep coming back to say it, man. It's the centre-back situation and us not strengthening it in this window that really doesn't sit right with me. Killian said, would you agree, worst transfer window in a while? To be honest, Killian, I didn't expect much in this window, mate. You know, I said it in the summer again, and I'll reiterate it. I was happy with a lot of the business we did in the summer, and I wasn't going to be calling for a lot of signings in January, one way or the other, because I appreciated the position that we were in. But I did assume that we would move for a centre back because we tried to get one at the end of the transfer window. So the club had clearly viewed that we needed one, and the fact that our centre back cover has gotten less so over the last while made me think, yeah, we might get one. And I definitely, when I started to see that Mark Gay might be available in January, I certainly thought we were going to make a move then, but we didn't. So, is it the worst one? Well, it's the same as any other one that we didn't want in, really, isn't it? I mean, we haven't really weakened ourselves either. At least that whole silly story about Andy Robertson looks like it's knocked on the head for the time being, and Robbo's going to stay for the finish of the season, which is great. So yeah, I don't know, mate. I didn't have great expectations coming into it, but certainly isn't looking like we're going to get the centre back in that we need. And even if we do get a defender in now, again, we're scraping around at the end of the window. Now, look, if it's just a short-term solution at right back, like I said, I really do genuinely understand us bringing one in there if they want one, because, well, both of our right backs have been injured at points of this season, and unfortunately both of them are injured at this moment in time. So a short-term solution there, if they don't want to use Calvin Ramsey, I could understand, to be honest. Max, how are you? Evening, Craig. Hope you and the rest of the family are well. Not really, mate. To be honest with you, not really. But like I said, it's been a tough couple of weeks, but we will move on. Really hope you don't end up leaving. Your content really is amazing, and you've always been supportive. Thank you for your support, mate. I appreciate it. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say one thing and the other at the minute because, like I said, I just don't know. I know how I feel at the minute, and it's broken, and beaten, and flat, and not like myself. I never ever thought I'd see the day where publicly fans are being mocked. It just truly just saddens me more than anything. Um, like I said, anybody who is in any way critical is labelled as toxic. Now, the only heart I'm taking is I spoke to a couple of friends who are, big followers of sport in the United States of America. Apparently a similar tactic over there as well, and a similar tactic in lots of media. Any criticism of the club or of a club, and it doesn't just have to be football, seemingly is met with, well, they're toxic. Toxic, toxic, toxic. I really don't consider myself a toxic human being. I'm a critical person. I may have high standards and I may be outspoken. I'll give you all of those things. But I'm in no way toxic. I love our football club. I just refuse to say things that I don't mean. And I am not happy and have not been happy with the situation with Arna this season. I've always stated, and many other Liverpool fans are the same, how grateful we are for the situation with last season and for winning the league. But again, the standards were the standards. And we have failed to meet those standards in a long way this season. And even after such a great win, and it was a great win, it's one that I certainly hope pushes us on. Let's not lose the run of ourselves. We're still in 6th place in the league. United won this weekend, Chelsea won this weekend, we won this weekend. So it kind of is as it was. Now, we have broken a gap on Newcastle behind us in some of the chase and pack, and I mentioned that before the game last night, how important that was going to be. If we won that game, we had that 6-point buffer over Newcastle, and if they won it, they were right there with us. So the competition for those Champions League spots is starting to shrink a bit, which is good news. It's good news for us. I know people talk about top 4 quite a bit, but I think we can safely think at this point, top 5 is what's going to get you Champions League most likely. So top 5 is kind of where you want to be looking at. But even at that doesn't give you or I any satisfaction as a fan. Being in the Champions League is great, but we want to feel like we can win it and contemplate the idea of Liverpool making a real title push, which was supposed to be the idea this season. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if you see your club spend a lot of money, and as I've always said, and as Aaron has pointed out, we've recouped quite a bit of money as well, but that's okay. If you see your club investing in Isak, Wirtz, Ekitike, Frimpong, Kirkhead, and you hear all the narrative being that Liverpool want to dominate domestically and compete across Europe, and we want to be able to play in all competitions. So if that's what you were told, and that's the transfers that you've seen, it isn't out of the realms of realism that your expectations were that we were going to be doing a little bit better than we have domestically this season. I don't think that's asking too much. I don't think it's asking too much to figure out why maybe people are a little bit disappointed that the manager threw away the League Cup without a fight. I don't think it's disappointing that people feel a little bit confused at being in 6th place in the Premier League 23, 24 games into the season of a 38-game season. That isn't fans being unreasonable. That isn't any other club's fans would have been far more vocal in or outside the stadium. Every game in London, Chelsea were booed at half time. Spurs were booed at half time. Arsenal were booed after losing to United. So, again, it wasn't the online fans that were booing Arna and the result at the end of the previous game. That wasn't us. Can't blame us for that one. They're trying to. They even tried to invent the scenario where it didn't happen. And then Arna, in his own mind, told us that then people went home and probably regretted it. It hurts my fucking soul to see the people that I know are good people. And look, everyone knows there's arseholes online. I deal with them every day. You deal with them every day on any of the platforms you're on. But it doesn't mean that there aren't valid opinions. It doesn't mean that all critiquing is negative and toxic. People are allowed to have an opinion that differs from the picture you want to paint. Jamie said, "You'll never walk alone. More than football, you're here for us as a voice, and we're here for you." Truly, mate, I don't really have much energy left. I'm not trying to be dramatic about it. I fucking don't. I'm knackered. I'm working 6-7 days a week, every day of the week, to try to make sure that I can keep everyone up to date, to try to make sure that I can keep people feeling connected. If not with the club, which of course we want, certainly with each other and other Liverpool fans. And I've been calling this stuff out for years about online fans, fans from all around the world being belittled over and over again. Even for just asking for transfers for years, we were belittled as greedy, as being Chelsea and Manchester United fans in disguise. All this kind of stuff is tiring, and it's divide and conquer strategy. Everybody is entitled to an opinion and a voice. Everybody pays their money. Everybody buys their shirts. Everybody pays for their All Red memberships. Everybody goes to a game when they can. Whether it's a pre-season game when the Reds go to their country, whether it's a pilgrimage across to Anfield, whether you're lucky enough to go 5-6 times a year, or whether you go to every single game home and away. Your voice counts. Your support counts. Your opinion counts. Sonder says, Jacquet moving more likely. Sad no GEERTRUIDA, said Sonder. I really don't know all that much about Jeremy Jacquet, mate, but I do know that us and Chelsea have been looking to get him in, so clearly we value him highly. Obviously, it looks like Ron want to make sure he stays there for the remainder of the campaign, so it will be a summer move, which is, again, understandable. At least, it will be a bit of business done early. Eddie Cox-Wilkins said, I'm 46 in 26 days and I've never called for a manager to be sacked like I have with this one. Well, Eddie, I've been doing this role for about 8 years now, give or take. And I've never called for a manager to be fired, mate. Never. At any point when Kloppo was 8th or 5th or anything. Never. This was the first time I've ever done it as well. And you aren't on your own. There's so many people who just don't feel happy with what they're seeing. And I can promise you one thing. The people that I know anyway, it's not personal. Nobody has anything personal against Arne Slot. Far from it. He seems like a decent enough fella. But the brand of football we're seeing and how cumbersome and slow it has been and how disjointed it's been just hasn't been acceptable to many. Surely that's not too difficult to understand. Apparently January window is only 24 hours, don't have time. That stuff is mental. And that's not just an us problem, Sonder. It's mad in general in transfer windows how we always see this mad scramble at the end. Because if you think about it, it makes no sense. You want the players in as early as you can. Any coach would tell you they want as much time to work with the players as possible. But yeah, all clubs, ours included, seem to have these late dramas in the window. It does make you wonder, like. Right, this coming out now from Fabrice Hawkins said, new Chelsea and Liverpool are pushing very hard for Jeremy Jacquet. In case of a sale, Stade Rennais, under the impetus of his head coach, should keep him on loan for the remainder of the season. So it seems as if Liverpool or Chelsea get a deal agreed there, the Jacquet will stay with the French side for the remainder of the campaign. Right, let's check in on our poll that we have running. Do you think we get a right back in before the deadline? And 79% of people said no, they don't think we get a right back in before the deadline. I don't know, is the honest answer for me, folks. I wouldn't really... I have no information on one, so I'm just sitting back like everyone else trying to see what happens over the next 24 hours or so. There was some vague talks about a Galatasaray right back. I think it may be a Hungarian player. And a couple of others, but honestly, I've got nothing on this one. I'm just sitting back like everyone else, waiting to see if that happens or not. Straightforward question. I asked this in WhatsApp. Are you happy with the head coach? Just answer me that one, and we'll come back to the poll. Are you happy with the head coach currently? Let me just run you through what our poll on the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp has said on this question. So we asked, are you happy with Arne Slot as head coach? And of the votes that we have, there are about... I have to try and work out the percentages here in my head real quick, sorry. There is about 20%, roughly, who are unsure. There are less than 10% who are happy, and then there are about 80%, or maybe, sorry, about 78, 75% who are unhappy. So, again, doesn't matter what platform we ask it on, the answer's always been the same. They aren't happy. So, can everybody be wrong? All the time? Or are these people really not... Look, I've got to be careful, because we know these fuckers love to threaten you with the police and stuff like that, which they've done to me before, as I've showed you, just for tagging somebody in a post on X. Not a threatening post, just a post. It's actually probably a sarcastic post, to be honest. But I don't think that these people actually believe what they're writing. I really don't. I really, really don't. What I think, and this is just an opinion, I'm not trying to state it as fact, is that if these guys don't stick to the narrative and don't help push the positive side, then that's the end of them. That's it. No access. Their outlets, many of them, are dying off. Their publications are fading away. They don't have the readership they used to have because of fan forums, online content, an abundance of content just doing the rounds anyway, whether it be from Sky, TNT Sport or elsewhere. So nobody wants to pay for the work. So the only ins that they really have are to continue to just be loyal and continue to do the bidding, because They certainly aren't approaching it from a perspective of a balanced side of journalism, are they? You know, like I said, where was the pushback on some of the stupid posts from Arna? Where was the, well, we were 15 points clear when you said it was a good thing we were knocked out by Pete? They didn't do it. They never do it. And then they get antsy at the rest of us for asking them just to do their fucking jobs. You're a journalist. Be a journalist. Ask questions. Probe. Don't just sit there and be a lackey. It's embarrassing. I'm just catching up. You think Liverpool would learn not to wait until the last second to bring in a player? Appreciate you so much. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate you as well, my man. Red Woman said, so offensive the way we're being treated. Didn't choose where I was born. Of course you didn't. And you know, many of us also didn't choose what club we support. In that we fell in love. That's kind of the way I look at this. Like, I've always told you about my journey to becoming a Liverpool fan. It wasn't one that was pushed my way by a father or a cousin, a brother. I'm an only child. My dad wasn't madly into football. And I found my own way to becoming a Liverpool fan. But like you, Red Woman, and everybody else, when you catch the bug, when you become a fan, you are a fan for life, and that's it. The only solace that I take in these moments are the fans will outlast any era. Fans will outlast an ownership group. Fans will outlast any coach. Fans will outlast sporting directors, CEOs of football. Fans will be the forever presence. So again, I'm going to ask, is it a very clever strategy to alienate 200 million people for the sake of probably, outside of away travelling fans, 57,000? And those 57,000, by the way, they're not the ones that are trying to make this a division. This isn't local fans versus non-local fans. This is journalists pushing this narrative. That match-going fans are the barometer. Are they? Really? They're the barometer. Who said so? And why? Because you've decided that they are? Again, fuck you. Health above every other, mate. Please take a few days off if you need it. Like I've said, mate, I'll figure out my own situation. But right now there's a bit of work to be done. And when I do step aside, I need to make sure that things are ready for the next guy. It's really disrespectful to his memory to use his death as an excuse. The ogre deserves better, in my opinion. I've said that all the way through. Because when we won the first 5 games, it was, like I've said, the narrative was do it in remembrance of. And then when the results started to get poor, then it all of a sudden became a get out of jail free card for some people to use to justify poor performances. Now, all of us are human beings. Of course we understand it had an impact in the dressing room. Of course we did. But what that impact is up to the players and the coach to figure out. Is that impact going to be one of, let's do a 4? Is it going to impact some people more than others? Absolutely. And we've always said on here, and many other times, that anybody that needs that time should be given it. If a player was suffering more than another, they should be given that time. When we spoke about Ibrahim Kanade and the sad passing of his father, we said the very same thing. You all said the same thing. It's that's what the narrative should have been last night. That's what the narrative should have been. That Liverpool came together, everybody, the fans, the coach, the players, and turned around a deficit to win, and win handsomely. And everybody left that stadium buzzing. And straight away, like that, they're out again, divide and conquer. It's embarrassing. And it's also incorrect. So, Fabrizio Romano on Jeremy Jacquet has just said, the race for Jeremy Jacquet reaches very final stages to agree a deal now for June 2026. Liverpool are absolutely in the race, not from today or yesterday. It all started 20 days ago, as revealed. Chelsea been negotiating for weeks as well. How good is this guy? To those of you that would have watched a lot more French football than I would, how good is Jeremy Jacquet? Like, what should or could we be expecting if this guy does come through the AXA doors in the summer? What's your prediction, said Petter, for the top 5 this season in order? Well, look, today's result has to say, again, underline that Arsenal are title favourites. You know, Manchester City dropping points at Spurs gaff, which has been a very unhappy hunting ground for Manchester City. And that gives Arsenal a 6-point lead. And look, you've got to say, a deserved lead. They've been the best team this season in the Premier League. So I think they'll win it. City will come second. The question is, will Villa hold on? Will Villa hold on in third? Or will they be able to be caught? I'm going to say they just about hang on. So we'll give Villa the third spot. I think we get 4th, United get 5th, Chelsea get 6th. And the reason I'm saying that is, I think if you look at the 3 teams chasing that last kind of 1-2 places now, Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, United have still got that new manager bounce from Michael Carrick arriving in as the interim coach. And again, have turned another game around today to win. So they've got the feel-good factor and a bit of a bounce about them. I think Liverpool are probably the better of the 3 teams on their day if everyone's playing their best. And I think we'll just pip Chelsea to it. But I don't say that with too much confidence. So for me, I'd be talking then Arsenal, Manchester City, Aston Villa, Liverpool, Manchester United, and then Chelsea is the top 6. But again, I don't really know how to get a read on Chelsea, Petter, because it's been so up and down for Chelsea this season. But again, they show balls to fight back and get a late winner yesterday as well against West Ham. So, yeah, I say that without very much conviction, mate, but maybe more hope as well. Again, Ben Jacobs saying Liverpool in talk for Jacquet for the summer and are pushing to agree a deal. No January arrival if they succeed. Chelsea also in talks with both clubs trying to get a deal done quickly. Two deals for Liverpool are off. GEERTRUIDA and Dumfries, no chance, said Fabrizio Romano. You can check that one out on the Anfield Agenda X account as well. Sorry, I'm just trying to play catch up. That one done. That one I've done. That one. This one. Very raw, but huge potential. Ibu-like defender. Nice. Good. Thanks for being live. You always make the day better. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Joe said Heidinga has changed Spurs. He looks like he's a really good coach, Heidinga. I wonder, will he make it as a number 1 in his own right at some point, or will he be a very good number 2 for his coaching career? Because he definitely has something about him. I mean, you've seen the reports of how much he was liked by the Liverpool players when he was here. And I'm no doubt as well, I was watching his reaction towards some of the Spurs players after the game against City, and again, you could see he was right in there, giving them hugs and celebrating with them. Ivan said, I reckon United finish above Pool. They've 1 game per week and they'll beat you a lot at Old Trafford, most likely. I'm a neutral before you attack me. I'm not going to attack you, mate. Not at all. They beat us at Anfield, so You to say they beat you at Old Trafford, how can I sit here and say that's impossible? Look, there's every chance they do. Like I said when I was speaking to Petter a minute ago and replying to him, I can't say that with any confidence. That top, well, from 4, 5, 6, that order could be any order. Chelsea could be fourth, United could be fifth, Liverpool could be sixth, United could be fourth, Liverpool could be fifth, Chelsea could be sixth. I really don't know, mate, and I don't know what to expect. But you are right in that one game a week certainly gives them time to recover, plan. So yeah, that is definitely an advantage in this scenario. But in the same breath, they're out of all the competitions. They've nothing to fight for on the silverware front. So that kind of is their season. And if they don't get Champions League this season, you got to say United are in trouble again, because they're looking to rebuild that club up, and they're going to need that Champions League revenue to keep doing it. So look, I'm not going to attack you at all. I just, like I said, I've no idea how it finishes. I mean, we've been so up and down, it's hard to really figure out what way we're going to go. And even if you look at the game next week against Manchester City, I actually feel more confident about that game after their performance today, because that's a game in years gone by that Man City win. Right? They don't let that 2-goal lead slip. And even if they do, you would expect them to find a third. And they weren't able to. So that definitely makes me feel like maybe we're catching them at a time where it could work well for us. This is a huge game next week. I mean, if City drop any points and Arsenal win their game, you got to say that's again another underlining of Arsenal's probability to win the Premier League. If City win it, it keeps the pressure up on Arsenal, but it pushes us again a little bit further away. So it's definitely an important game next week, and God, I don't know what way it's going to go. Haven't got a clue. But I know I'm glad we have a week to prepare for it. So let's wait and see what we can come up with. Where am I at? Do you know what I hate seeing? Excuse me. So I'm reading through some of the comments here in the chat, and I just hate seeing a division. Even like L Stew there in the chat is somebody who, he and I differ greatly on the position the club are in and what we should be doing or saying. But I respect the hell out of the fact that every night he comes on and respectfully voices his view and opinion. But I hate to see this happening with Liverpool fans. There was a couple of fans that I'd seen online saying, will you give me the chance to buy a ticket and I'll go every week? A lot of people just don't have the option to attend Liverpool games once in their life, let alone every week. So to try and say that those inside the stadium are the real barometer, well, surely all Liverpool fans or all football fans' opinions count. You can't have it every which way. You can't have it that it's only those fans that count, but also we want the money and we want the support from elsewhere when it suits us. I think, like, as people have said, the word insulting is probably right, because that's certainly how I feel. Sandeep, thank you so much, bro. Craig, you're totally right to be so emotive at times. Liverpool is like a religion to us supporters. I pay effing thousands of pounds to watch Liverpool play, as I don't have a season ticket and we have no cover in defence. Like I said, the cost for me to go over to the one game I went to this year, buying the ticket through the club directly from the hospitality section, was about €820, give or take, depending on the conversion, for the match ticket alone. Then the hotel cost me about €600 for 2 nights, because it's match weekend. Then I've got friends that flew in from Boston. Now, we're all sitting over there having dropped a ton of money, as did all the people around us. But we're not, we're not a measure, a barometer of how the club feel or are. I think, once again, like I said, and I've made this point a few times, I think that they are doing a disservice to the loyalty of the fans inside the stadium and the respect that they have for the position of Liverpool head coach. that it has to get so bad before they start to speak up. And that's where we were at over the last few weeks. It had got to that point. So how quickly they are to give it the whole those with short memories, James Pearce type attitude as soon as one fucking win comes around. Because that's the first win Liverpool have had in the Premier League. I think maybe the 6th win since September. So, like, I don't get what the arrogance is about. Or this, you know, everyone's behind the head coach nonsense. They aren't. They aren't. It's just not true. Janine, said, "Hi Craig, do you think Slot will be gone by the summer? I'm getting worried that he's staying as trying to get another Dutch player in and all of the media spin now." I don't think he's here in the summer, or I don't think he's Liverpool manager by the time we get halfway through the summer, shall we say. And again, I would say, if they really do believe and trust in him that much, where's the contract extension? You know, the one that they were talking about in the summer that was in the works with the new head coach that they were backing and believed in. Again, they try to tell you one thing, but the actions speak very loudly. Where is that contract? Did we imagine Mohamed Salah speaking up? Did we imagine that discontent? Was that toxic online fans that made Mo do that? Or was Mo displeased? Did we imagine that the club entertained selling Andy Robertson for £3 million? Was that toxic online fans that made that up? Did the toxic online fans make Arne say it was a good thing we lost to PSG? Did the toxic online fans make the manager say it's 2 league titles in 35 years? Was it the toxic online fans who made the manager say that this club lost to Atalanta in the Europa League 2 years ago? At every opportunity, Arne has dug his own grave with regards to the disconnect Liverpool fans feel to him. Even when he has easy wins, he finds a way to talk about a low block. The other night, we talked about it. Go in after the Karabakh victory. Go in and have a press conference and go, great result. Hopefully that brings a bit of confidence in. Great to see the lads grab some goals. We're moving now towards the game against Newcastle the weekend. Let's go. Nope. Had to go back and talk about the thing he felt he was hard done by on, which was his own words. So, as I said at the start of the stream and in my posts, at this moment in time, I am definitely taking stock of my time in this environment, because if I'm the poster boy for toxicity, if I go away, if I step to the side and allow Connor or somebody else to take on the channel, at least then I can't be scapegoated when people speak up, when fans voice their displeasure. At least I can't be the poster boy. At least I won't have to see my family getting threatened, my information being doxed, my autistic son threatened to be raped. I won't have to see all of that stuff. Because it's not a tactic to come on here and be an emotional human being. This is who I am. This is how I feel about our club. Our club. Excuse me. Martin said, Craig, in my opinion, it takes more effort to stay connected to the club if you can't be a regular match-going fan, because you don't get that regular information or the connection going to a game. Look, I've said it for years, Martin. I know Liverpool fans that have to go into bars in Australia and New Zealand before they close those doors at 11 to make sure that they can be in there for a game that kicks off at 3, 4 in the morning. I know fans in different walks of life in America, whether it's on the east or west coast, that get up really early, that drive to bars that open up for them to do breakfast to watch games. I know people that save up to make once-in-a-lifetime trips across. And to see all these people absolutely, consistently belittled and just lumped into some toxic nonsense as just online fans, it boils my blood so much that I feel like if I do carry on, I'm going to end up in court or I'm going to end up in legal problems because I'm biting my tongue as it is not to say what I really, really want to say because it's despicable what's going on. And this divide and conquer attitude is completely unnecessary and completely short-sighted. So whoever the next me is, I'm interested to see how they get on and how they're attacked. Slot has been disrespectful towards the club and fans, and his arrogance is not quality to be proud of, said Myro. Pasky, you were replying to somebody else. Matt Denny said Arne feels like he's God's gift to Liverpool and he doesn't seem to respect the fans very much. Martin said Craig, in my opinion, it takes more effort to stay connected. We've done that one. Mark said FSG have never respected the fans. Too many times they've tried to do things that are unforgivable. They only care about revenues and the club's valuation. Do you know what? Do you remember Arne said that it was only 2 seasons ago that we were beaten by Atalanta and knocked out of the Europa League? There's one really important part of that day that everybody seems to be forgetting in this narrative that they want to push is why? Why did fans have a protest that day? Why was that? If I remember correctly, it was because of an approximate 50p per game rise that caused fans, you know, the loyal match-going fans, some of them to protest and leave the ground early. And it just coincidentally happened to be a 3-0 defeat, I think, to Atalanta that seen us out of the Europa League. And it was Kloppo's last European game. And that turned very toxic very quickly. But people supported that theory because people understood that the match-going fans have to sacrifice a lot. And in a cost of living crisis, any increase is unnecessary for the price of a football ticket. Because as Bayern Munich CEO said previously, we could put the ticket prices up, but do we really need the money that much when most of the revenue comes from other sources anyway? So Liverpool fans felt, yeah, fair play. These people are making sacrifices to go to the game and, you know, the club could do without this extra money. And they've been supported many times. But there has always been a 2-tier level of supporting of this football club. And a lot of the time it goes unspoken. It is not an all animals are equal kind of vibe. It really just isn't. And I'm sure it's not dissimilar across other clubs. Mike said all of our problems are down to FSG. Look, I made a promise and I stuck to my word. And I said, when we had the summer transfer window, I'm not going to be on saying, where's the money, John? And I'm not going to be on moaning about the manager not being backed. And I've been a man of my word and I haven't done it. But what I have done is criticise the head coach and the performances that haven't been good enough this season. And again, we did a stat the other day. We were 20 points worse off than this time last year. I think that was after the 23 game mark. You didn't imagine that. That's the reality of the situation. Like, I don't know how people can be supposed to be happy going backwards after an investment and an enthusiasm that I can't remember. Like, August was unbelievable. It was a month that I will live with me forever. And it'll be a month I'll always look back on as I've never... If I could just bottle that month and that moment in time where we were all celebrating the league title, celebrating the great transfer business we've done, and expecting and hoping for Arnott and the boys to go on to bigger and better things and show that this football club has regained its place at the top of the pile. But unfortunately, what we've seen this season has been us falling away domestically. and every excuse under the sun being used to try to justify the fall off, other than being honest and say the tactics are bullshit. The style of football is one that Liverpool fans absolutely aren't connecting with. And no matter how much bullshit some journalists want to write, that ain't going to change. People are dull, bored, turning off. And again, last night reminded us what they're capable of. That's the standard. That's what's expected. That's what we know Liverpool can do. So you can't tell us that seeing that one night, that brilliant hour, versus all the other monotonous bullshit that we've had to sit through, is us being unreasonable. Because we know what they're capable of. It's like your child underperforming in school, but you know they're better if they just applied themselves a little bit more, if they just did a little bit more. We know the standards. We know what's capable. And it isn't unfair to expect those standards to be met. They're talked about a lot, but are they being met on the pitch? No. It isn't. It isn't good enough, and it hasn't been good enough. And this whole won the league title narrative, it's that type of behaviour of just saying, yeah, we won the league title, now we can just be shit for 2 or 3 years, or we won the league title so we can accept failure. That's not good enough. That's not how dynasties are built. That's not how eras of success are built. And fans respond to what happens on the pitch. Like last night. Why did we only get going after 35 minutes? I'll tell you the answer. And it's one that you've probably seen posted around on social media. Because it felt like the players just said, fuck this, we're going back to our way. And they responded to the fans, and they responded to the atmosphere, and it built from there. Hugo had moments of brilliance, and it built from there. It certainly wasn't because of the tactical nous of Arne Slot, because up to 35 minutes, we were the second best team on every fucking metric, until Anfield stood up and the players responded. Do you think McAllister will be here in 2 years? That's probably the one player I would have a question mark over in 2 years. Not because I don't think Alexis loves the club or anything, or not because I don't think the club values Alexis, because I think I just get the feeling he has another chapter in his career in La Liga or something now. I'd be very happy to be wrong and very happy for him to stay, but I've kind of always thought that maybe that might happen, that he might move somewhere. So, Ben Jacobs saying, and they really are milking this one, Liverpool are discussing a 55 million plus 5 million package for Jeremy Jacquet with Ron for the summer. Not done yet, but talks advancing. Chelsea also in discussions. So all the breaking stuff has been just the same fucking information over and over again. Breaking, Liverpool are talking. Breaking, Liverpool are talking about a deal. Breaking, Liverpool are talking. Breaking. Is it done? Because if it's not done, nothing's breaking. It's just we're running out of time. TikTok, need those clicks. Breaking. Hoffmans have not completed the purchase of the Penguins. Oh, interesting. I didn't know where FSG were with that situation. Yeah, I didn't know where they were with it. I knew that they had put the Penguins up for sale, but I didn't know the ins and outs of it. Interesting one. So, come back to this super chat from Mike about all their problems being down to FSG. I've battled with this narrative in my head quite a bit, mate, and ultimately, I still don't know how to feel about them, because they've done some good stuff that I'm really appreciative for as a fan. They've built the main stand, the Annie Road end, the AXA. They've done all stuff that has made the stadium better and the match going experience for people that get a chance to go better. They've overseen 2 league titles, a European Cup, League Cups, FA Cup. Like, they've overseen some success at Liverpool. But At the same time, I wrestle with that versus the business side and the fact that the things that they've done more often than not have also added value to their asset. And there's nothing wrong with a win-win. I'm all for a win-win. But ultimately, everything is a trade-off. So the extra seats that adds the extra revenue are more often than not hospitality seats that, again, price out a lot of people. Now, when the atmosphere inside Anfield isn't great, whose fault is it? That's right, it's yours. Tourists, your fault. But when the atmosphere is great, it's the Liverpool way. When people boo Arna, doesn't exist. When the fans applaud a 4-1 victory, everything's great and this is the barometer. This is the type of shit I've been talking about for years. When the atmosphere is terrible, you're the first one to be blamed. Tourists, non-locals, more tickets for locals. When people are booing, it's not us. No, it's the toxic online keyboard warriors. But, like I've said, the stuff FSG have done has been very good and it's transformed Liverpool. So overall, they've definitely been a positive impact on the club. Overall, definitely. You know, they've came in, they've used their knowledge of running and owning sports teams. They've brought in some good people behind the scenes at the club as well. And they built Liverpool up. So I think ultimately, overall, I'd sit here and say, yeah, it's been a good ownership. And certainly they haven't been bleeding money out of the club like other ownerships have. Like every ownership group, they'll make mistakes. They'll do things that sometimes we're unhappy with. But they're far and away not the worst owners, definitely. My biggest gripe, like I always said, was just the lack of real money for the manager. And then we got some money for the manager, and like I promised, I stopped talking about that. Where's the money? David, thank you. The legend. It was a game of two halves, definitely. Has the lack of a sale caused financial pressure? I don't know, Joe, because I've always believed, and truthfully, that FSG run all of these things separately and they are their own entities. Like, when people were accusing them of siphoning off money for the Red Sox and stuff, even then, even though I didn't really have a great lot of time for them, I said, no, I've always felt like they run each thing independently. So, no, I wouldn't say that. It does. What I would say though, Joe, is, and I've nothing other than an opinion here, it feels like the lack of the Mark A deal kind of feels sort of connected to the Harvey Elliott deal in some way. That maybe the club's budget or whatever they had worked out or balanced out and what they could afford to do and not do. Here's what I wonder. If we had have gotten Mark A, and if the Harvey Elliott situation had gone as it has, and Mark A was a Liverpool player, would we be sitting here in January now talking about a sale of somebody we didn't want to sell to balance the figures? Because, like I said, I don't know if those two things are connected, the Elliott and Gay thing, but it kind of feels difficult to figure out the thought process of wanting to sign a player for 35 million in August, wanting to sign him next July, but in the middle, not wanting to. That will forever be something I don't understand. Unless it's a financial decision based off a lack of revenue coming in from one point they expected it. So yeah, but again, we have to guess about that one. I don't know. You don't know. Chris Shaw, how are you, Chris? So gutted about GEERTRUIDA. He's the perfect replacement for Gomez. If he moves in the summer, versatile in any positions. Dare I say, a good market opportunity at the price and what he offers. So I think, from what I can gather, and like I said, I've been playing catch up on the GEERTRUIDA story. From what I can gather, it was Sunderland that pulled the plug on that one. The player was up for it. And it was ironic because he's a player that we'd been linked to in the past. When Arna joined from Feyenoord, and then of course he moved. I'm not even sure is he on loan at Sunderland. But anyway, Sunderland player at the moment, and I think they pulled the plug on it. So that one, you just again have to ask: do we sometimes seem a little bit disconnected in the narrative that we want to portray versus what we actually do? So a lot of the time we hear that Liverpool don't do, last minute ducking and diving around trying to do deals, that Liverpool only focus on long-term targets, and that they aren't reactive, but they're available for market opportunity. Like, there's so much double speak, I don't even know what the plan is half the time. But GEERTRUIDA would have made sense in a short-term deal, and I wouldn't have had any problem with it. Not getting them, again, I can understand if that doesn't go through. I'm only concerned about the centre-back, or lack of a centre-back in this window. That's it. Right back has been unfortunate, and I get that maybe the club feel they need a bit extra cover, and maybe it isn't available. I understand that, but I don't understand not bringing in a centre-back for the now. John Irving said, toxicity, so-called journos, headline after attending Hillsborough catastrophe. They called us scum. Don't let the Knuts win, mate. I've been attending for 4 years, and fans in my area hate journos. As slot. I don't know, John, mate. I don't know if I have it in me. I'm fucking tired, mate. I'm tired. And I'm not looking for any sympathy. I'm just saying you question your own sanity at times. Like, I asked Connor yesterday, like, am I, and I'm sure you've probably said this to yourselves as well, like, am I imagining some of this? Have I been unfair? Is what I'm seeing not right? And then I actually take the time to go back and look through. And I've kept a note of every game this season that I do for like end of season videos and stuff like that to just recap. So I do bullet points after every game the next day, so I'm not doing them with emotion. And I do a few lines from each game. So at the end of the season, when we're doing a recap video or wherever, I have, reference points to go back to. And I read back through those last night. And no, I'm definitely not imagining it. I'm definitely very much happy with the opinion that I've put across of where we're at and what we've seen not being good enough. I've no doubts about that of my perspective. Nor do I think we've been overly toxic. Have we been tongue-in-cheek at times? Yeah, of course, but that's my sense of humour. But I just try to give people a voice that don't have one, that feel disconnected, because I felt that way before. And you guys made me feel that connection. And you guys made me feel like there's more of us than we think. And this season has been... it's been a heartbreaking one. To see fans arguing with each other and see division, and it just sucks. And yet, maybe there were times where people say, you've added to that. Maybe I have. But I've always felt like I've stood my ground for the people and myself who are used as punching bags to justify anything that's negative. How confident are people that the manager still goes in the summer? Because I'm starting to doubt whether he will. Again, I think that depends on how the fans react. Genuinely. And what I mean by that is, if we get knocked out of the Champions League, let's say at the quarterfinal stage, and Liverpool finished 4th or 5th, and let's say I don't know, even got to an FA Cup final. Is that going to be enough for fans to feel that the manager can still, or the coach can still push the team forward? Or will people think that it hasn't been good enough and ultimately he had the season and he needs to go? I think unless he pulls a miracle out of his arse and wins the Champions League, the fan momentum and fan opinion will be so vocal that he will go. But again, we're dealing with two people in Hughes and Edwards who don't have to answer to fans or anyone, who can just work in the shadows and don't have to deal or publicly explain anything. And that, in my opinion, is a big problem, because that allows fans to feel confused by the thinking at the club and what is going on. Because if you really do believe in somebody, like you say you do, Arna, then why isn't a new contract being put in front of him yet? The answer is because you don't believe in him and you're unsure. So my only question is, are we still stuck with Slot because Hughes and Edwards don't want to admit they were wrong? Or do they really feel that he'll turn it around? In the pit of their stomach, do they really feel that they'll turn this around? That, again, I don't know the answer to, but I know what I want and I know what I feel. Did I make the wife a Liverpool supporter yet? Nope. No, she's still Forest, mate. Still Forest. So, on GEERTRUIDA, this morning, Connor left me a few little notes, and in the notes it said, Ornstein said 75% it gets done. And Liverpool would pay a small compensation fee to Sunderland to basically take over their loan deal, and they had a €23 million option to buy him in the summer. Unclear if we'd have the same. So somehow that went from 75% confidence it gets done to it not getting done again. We don't seem to be very good at these late deals, do we? But like I said, apparently it was Sunderland that pulled the plug in it, and if another club doesn't want to do business or play ball, not much you can do with that. Right, so let's check in. Are you happy with the head coach? That's the poll that we're asking tonight. So do have your say on it if you haven't. Are you happy with the head coach? Yes or no? And by the time I finish up and say my goodbyes to you all, we'll have the answer to that one. Jaden said, I would give anything for 3 more years of Salah in his prime. Yeah. I'd even take 3 more months. 3 more months of it, Jade, to be great. I'd love to see Mo hit a purple patch and Liverpool to push on and do something special for the end of the season. That's something actually, even last night when we spoke about the game. Yeah, he really didn't have a good show yesterday. A good display. Like, it was one of the few things that I felt after the game. Yeah, even at that, it wasn't great from him. But can we just talk about the game last night for a minute? Because, a lot of tonight's been negative, and again, I've come in with a strong opinion tonight because, like I said, I don't know how long I have left. But last night was a little reminder about what is so special and why we want more. Because it's like a drug. That adrenaline, that feeling, that special movement, collective, it was just glorious. And there were still people last night that were unhappy even after a 4-1 win, in that way, and I certainly wasn't one of them. I went to bed very happy last night with the resultant performance. But I still have to ask, do you think that it was the players or the coach that changed that game around last night? Because we were second best for 35 minutes. And then we conceded and everything changed. And so many times this season, that's had to be the case. We've fallen behind or we've done poorly. And then the manicness starts. The end-to-end, the crazy football. But why do we leave that so long? Why does it take so long to get there? Because a lot of people felt like last night the players just went, sod this, we're doing it our way. And we're just going with it. And we're going to feed off the emotion. And we just did it. Whether it was, moments of brilliance from Hugo Ekitike, whether it was the fans rising up and really, again, making an incredible atmosphere inside Anfield. Whatever it was, again, I want to reiterate, that's the standard. That's what we have to aim for. Because that's what makes us love the game. And that's what makes us believe anything is possible. Feelings, moments like that last night. That's us. My view, said Dave, 100% the players. A different Dave said players, I think they finally had enough and decided sod it to play it their way. I believe Anfield and the players. Slot was screaming to be calm and defend, but players still attacked, said Sumat. Paul Driscoll said last night showed that the team are so supportive of each other. That was good to see. Yeah, that. Thank you for bringing that up, Paul. That's a really good point you've made. You want to be made of stone when Ibu scored, not to feel something. But I love the way Virgil ushered him back in front of the cop to take that acclaim. I thought that was lovely. And yeah, you're right, mate. It did. And it showed the game before against Karabakh as well, when Chiesa scored, and you've seen how quickly Virgil and everybody else got over to celebrate with him. Yeah, that is lovely to see. Truly, Paul. And you're right, mate. It was a good show last night that they were certainly fighting for each other. World of Naturalist said, I'm sorry, but I think we win games in spite of Slot, not because he did anything good. Pablo said Anfield felt like Anfield last night. Haley said not being Ibu's biggest fan of this season, with not signing the contract and performances, but oh my God, he played amazing last night, deserved his flowers. So I've been like you, Haley. I've been critical of the poor performances from Ibu this season. I've been critical of the fact we're in this contract situation. But again, people don't feel like we're allowed to praise him last night. Because the amount of comments we got in saying you were slagging off Ibu and now you're praising him. Well, that's how this works. You're unhappy with poor performances and silly decisions. And again, I don't know if it was a long-term illness for his father, if it was a sudden passing. I don't know if his form was rocky because of the situation. I don't know. All I can see as a fan is what's happening on the pitch. But what we seen last night was courage, and it was immense from him. He's a stronger man than me. If my father passed, I'd have been all over the place out there. I wouldn't have been able to focus. I know people can say football can be an escape for footballers as well, but truly, I wouldn't have been able for it. So what he did, and the word I keep wanting to use here was grace, because that's what I felt he showed. He was serene last night. He played with a calmness and a composure that, and it was meant to be that he got that goal. It really was. It was one of those moments you couldn't write in football. Like, it was lovely to see him, and it was also heartbreaking, of course, to see him shed that tear, but you knew how proud he felt and how he'd done himself and his father proud. Yeah, it was a wonderful moment last night, and fair play to him, because he helped a lot. Liverpool needed him. We needed him. And everybody would have understood if he needed a little bit more time. Of course they would have. But like Arna said, he wants to come back to help out his team. So fair play. Absolutely. Respect for that. John Irving said, meant attending for over 63 years. Sorry. You provide an invaluable service to fans and it won't be long till 500k. Feel for you, man. Don't let them win. I'm just really tired and sad, John. I'm not even going to try and put a front on. Like I'm really tired, and I'm really sad. It's been tough. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've always said this. I don't want to be a negative in our fan base. I don't want to be a thing that is used as a way to beat Liverpool fans or insult Liverpool fans or to mock Liverpool fans. Never been my intention, never been my desire, never been my aim. But on a personal level, I am in a bad way, and it's getting harder and harder to turn the camera on, mate. I'm hurting. Sorry, I'm just checking through my notes in case there was a few other bits I missed. Dominic Soboslai was speaking a little bit about his contract situation. And he said, nothing yet, to be honest. From now on, it's not going to be in my hands. It works this way. There's no progression, but if the right offer comes in, then let's see. I'm doing my job on the pitch. We'll see in the future. It's always there and back and there. Let's see what happens. Hopefully everybody will be happy at the end. Do I like it here? Of course, of course. I like the city. I like the club. I like playing with these guys. I love Anfield. I love the fans. Let's see what the future holds. It's not on me. I would love to stay. We'll see. So fingers crossed for some good news moving forward on Dom. Even this morning in the Mirror, they were saying Liverpool midfielder Curtis Jones has been touted for a potential exit from January as the transfer window enters its final days. I haven't even brought that up tonight. That how are we in that position? You know, if everything was so rosy behind the scenes, how is it that we've nearly allowed Robertson to leave? Salah has spoken out about his displeasure. Jones seemingly was open to joining Inter Milan. The guy who literally lives and breathes the club. How if everything is so rosy and the club is so great, how are these things happening? And what is that wanton desire to get away from it? You know, because we didn't make these links up. I didn't report on Andy Robertson going to Inter Milan. That was written about and talked about by the likes of Romano and others. And the fact that that even became a topic, and then there was Spurs before that. He was linked with Spurs. And some of the conversations were even that Liverpool will only let Jones leave on loan if he signs an extension. The whole thing, it just feels weird. It just feels really weird. And I don't know why these type of things are happening other than they're not happy with the head coach. Because what else could I think as a fan? A lot of players, what now? Young lads liking post linking them with moves away from the club. Like, we're not making this up. This is our lived experience. This is what we're seeing. Like, from the year you supported Liverpool till now, give me your all-time best starting 11, including best coach in your lifetime supporting the Reds. Oh, I'll have a go at it, mate. But God, these are always so hard because I could probably name 5 teams and I'd still miss out people. So let's go. Alisson, Trent, Virgil, Sami Hyypiä, Andy Robertson, Xabi Alonso, Steven Gerrard, Jan Molby. Robbie Fowler left. Ian Rush centre. Mohamed Salah right. Like I said, that's a rough guess at it, but I could probably come up with 5 or 6 different variations. Javier Mascherano in one, Luis Suarez in one. Now, before people start saying, I didn't get to see Kenny Dalglish play, I didn't get to see Alan Hansen play, they were before my time. So, but that's again, roughly. And again, I couldn't even get John Barnes into that team. And John Barnes was incredible. So, yeah, it's a nigh on impossible task. No other options. Join Liverpool. What's this? You said Leao or Barcola. Neither of those two would be at the top on my wish list, Jaden, to be honest with you, Rafa Leao or Bradley Barcola. But of the two of them, probably Barcola. Pasky said about performances, do you remember the Trent interview? He flat out said we don't have to do as much since Slot took over. I've been meaning to say this for ages now. I actually don't remember that interview. I'm not trying to be difficult or anything. I genuinely I don't remember that interview. But look, if he said it, it's strange. Like Stargirl said months ago. God, it's months ago at this point. Is what happened to the like for like Jurgen type coach that was brought in, where there wasn't going to have to be huge upheaval. Stylistically, we were going to be similar. And what happened to that brand of football? And I still don't know the answer to that question, but I know we veered away from it and it hasn't worked. So I'd love to just know that one question. Like, how do we go from the team that we were with the identity that we had to this? Like, Kara said we were too open at the start of the season. We were too gung-ho. And then kind of feels like we've overcompensated maybe a little bit in the other direction. But then again, you go, and like I said last night, again, just... It was like a spark that just reminded us of what this group is capable of. And this group is capable of incredible things. So the question's got to be, why aren't we seeing more of that? And I can only come down to the manager or the head coach, sorry. Martin said, Craig, I thought it looked like Arna trying to get the players to slow attacks down when Newcastle were on the ropes. He's a football by numbers coach who tries to bore the opposition into succession. Joe Cavalier said, Slot is toxic. The assistants and players want out. Like I said, just so we can be in no doubt about where I am, I am 100% convinced Arne Slot's the problem. Categorically. I'm 100% convinced Arne is the problem. That is man management, that is tactics, that is public persona and press conferences, that all of these things have led to a disconnect. Players looking like they're lost on the pitch or they're confused on the pitch. The intensity being nowhere near what it should be. And I think he's been allowed to get away with that for too long by those who have the authority above him. And I can't tell you why. That I don't know. Is it like I said earlier on, is it a genuine belief that he will come good, or is it a lack of acceptance of a failure of judgment? I don't know the answer. I can only give you my opinion. And my opinion wholeheartedly is that he is the problem. Not the solution, the problem. Call me toxic, call me whatever you want. But I know what this group of players are capable of. And I know that we're not seeing enough of it under him. I can't be any clearer than that. So wherever that makes me. But that's my 100% honest, from the heart opinion of what's gone wrong this season. The manager. Jaden said, sorry, Craig Leo's one of my top three. Would love him at Liverpool. So when I watch him, Jaden, and I remember I interacted with a few AC Milan fans, he's a bit hit and miss. He can be brilliant, and like you look at him and just think, oh my God, he has the world at his feet. Or he can be really so far off it. And it is that inconsistency with him that's always held me back from really wanting him at Liverpool Football Club. Like, there's no denying the talent the dude has, but it just I haven't seen it enough. Latte Top said, "What does Hughes do, and why does he get stick? Why doesn't he get stick like Slot?" So Richard Hughes is the director of football, and the director of football, again, this is a brief encompassing of the role. The whole idea of a director of football, like I've said many times, is that the director of football oversees the footballing philosophy at the club and oversees everything outside of a coaching perspective. So he sets the brand of football that's played all the way through, from the underages right through to the first team. He's in charge of the recruitment. He's in charge of anything that isn't coaching on the footballing side of it. But the whole point of a director of football or a sporting director role is that if the head coach isn't working for whatever reason at any club that has this model, it's a lot less upheaval to remove the head coach and bring in somebody else with a similar footballing philosophy to that of the sporting director. So the idea being that the long-term vision and the, let's say in this case, the Liverpool way of playing football is set by Richard Hughes, and the coach implements that. Yeah, of course, the coach is free to coach and, move things around and adjust things, of course. Like, nobody's going to interfere with his work on the training ground. But the footballing philosophy is supposed to be steady right throughout the footballing structure. And in the olden days, if you had a Sir Alex, or even in our time, I guess, more modernly to Jurgen, if those guys left, then football clubs had holes everywhere. They needed somebody to the transfers, they needed somebody to motivate the players, they need coaches. The days of the one manager, one guy kind of does all are very, very rare. Maybe Guardiola has it to some extent at City. But the more success a head coach has, like, let's say, Arteta as an example, if he wins the league, then the more his influence will grow and the more his words will carry weight with the executives at the football clubs. So it's a way of basically mitigating the risk if things go wrong, in that you're just removing one guy as a head coach and their backup staff, but the football and philosophy and the vision of the football club remains the same. Oh, here we go. So, Romano's just said, here we go. Jeremy Jacquet to Liverpool, here we go. Deal agreed now for June 2026. Understand the fee is €60 million plus 10 million in add-on to Ron. Jeremy has agreed personal terms at Liverpool. Agreement done for summer 2026 for one of the most talented centre-backs in the world. Happy days. And well done to the club for getting them done. Hopefully, we're playing Champions League next season, but again, good bit of business, and that's one of the centre-backs done. Well done to everybody involved. That's a good day. Tonight's a good night. That's some good news. Good. Doesn't help us in the here and now, but it's still an excellent piece of news. Brilliant. A little bit higher than some of the numbers that were being talked about earlier on, but to small extents. Yeah, so that's another centre-back coming in. Good. And then, of course, we've got Giovanni Leone coming back as well. Good. That is genuinely good news for the football club. As well, done before the World Cup will be also good news. Ben Jacobs said, exclusive Liverpool discussing 55 plus 5 package for Xhaka with Ron, not done yet, but talks advancing. Well, that was after the Here We Go. Whoopsies. So has somebody gone early or? Interesting one. Well, we got a Here We Go before. Let's wait and see. But, it's certainly not bad news. I'm going to just see if I have this in my notes still. But let me go back the other day. I want to read it out properly so I don't misquote. Where was it? Oh, you can't find it. Basically, the other day, Cave Solikol said he only wanted Chelsea. I'm still trying to find the exact post on it. No, it's not that one. Yeah, sorry, I don't have it. My apologies. I don't have it to hand and I don't want to misquote. So, no point in me talking about something I don't have to hand. But yeah, anyway, happy days. The fee, 60 million euro plus 10 million euro in add-ons, Raz. So what's that in 70 million euro? About 56, 57 million pound all in, give or take. So yeah, that's euro. So 60 million plus 10 million euro. So about, again, 57 million pound, something like that, depending on the exchange rate. Sorry, did Club Chelsea, but a bigger European club, enjoy Ekitike? Again, yeah, like I said, Cave Solikol the other day said that was quoted as saying that he believes the player only wants Chelsea. But yeah, look, I'm delighted with that news. A centre back's exactly what we needed, but I wonder who'll be his coach when he comes in. So I asked you, are you happy with the head coach? And we've had 3,200 plus votes and 79%, so pretty much 4 out of every 5 people aren't happy with the head coach. So, yeah, that's where we're at. VVD, Xhaka, Leone, Ibu, please sign the contract. Yeah, that would be a lovely bit of news if he signed the contract and stayed. We'd have 2 young, well, Ibu's still young, so I'll call him young, French centre-backs then. Obviously, a young Italian lad. Happy days. That would be good news. And then Virgil van Dijk for another season minimum as well. It wasn't because Chelsea were the only Premier League club pursuing him. Snappy Liverpool were in at that point. Chasing Vlog said, wait, we actually signed Xhaka. Let's go. Well, we got the Here We Go on it, mate. We've got the Here We Go on it. But, after that, of course, we'll wait for official word on it. But Romano certainly believes, yes, 60 million euro plus 10 million euro in add-ons, which is good news. Dukey said, Slot's got to go. Yes, we want Newcastle, great, but his tactics are horrendous. Right, really quickly, because somebody asked me to do this. And like I said, I don't know if this will be the end of me or not, so let's enjoy the few minutes here. Let's ask this one. Right. Someone asked me to do this poll, so why not? Who turned the game around against Newcastle? Arne Slot and his coaches, the players, or both? Again, that was suggested as the poll, so that's what I've putting it up. Fabrice Hawkins said Liverpool have reached agreement with Ron for Xhaka, a fee of about €72 million, including bonuses, they say. But either way, again, it's tallying with a here we go. Justin said, I wonder, Craig, if Slot stays, will the formation change next year? The three centre-backs like Van Dijk, Canade, Xhaka, say, or Leone, wing-backs Kirkus and Frimpong. It's possible. We've said it quite a bit on here over the last few months that if we were to have enough centre-backs, so let's say we'd 5 on the books, I think we're actually more suited now than we would have been before the transfer window to the possibility of playing some type of 3-5-2 or something along those lines. If you look at all of our full-backs on either side, you could easily see them operating as wing-backs as well. So we were always just short the centre-backs. Now, if you bring in a couple more, you may have enough there. So yeah, it's possible, and whether it is Arne or it is another coach, the possibility would be there, definitely, yes. Hugo turned the game around. He looked like a guy who decided we're going to win or die trying, and the rest followed him. Well, there was something that I still haven't been able to find the answer to, and it's for a second goal. Alisson very quickly took the goal kick and then played it to Kirkes. Kirkes plays the ball forward, and then Ekitike drives into the penalty area and scored. But I'd love to know, was that something that they spotted as a potential weak point for Newcastle? Or was it just a spur-of-the-moment thing that Ali spotted? Because whatever the reason being, it was very intentional that we moved the ball quickly for our second goal. And it was a beautiful ball in as well from Milos Kerkez into the area for Ekitike to attack. Now, God, he still has a lot to do with it. And the option was going to be, do I take this on or do I square it across to Mohamed Salah? He took it on and finished it, but I really would love to know from somebody, one of the players, whether that was something they'd worked on or spotted on the training ground. Chris Thorne said the players, we all know it. Stay strong, Craigie. So look, we've got about 10 or 15 minutes left on tonight's stream. So over the last few months, you've probably seen Connor make more and more content. That's not accidental. I've always known when the day comes for me to hang up the microphone, I'd need somebody that cares as much as I do. And I never expected that Connor would be the guy who steps into the role and warms into it and starts to shine like I knew we could, because I know his sense of humour and I know his intelligence and I know him as I've gotten to know over the last 8 or 9 years. So for the first time on this journey, I now know I can make my own decision without having to fear for the longevity or the direction of the channel and the community. So I really feel like our community is healthy and happy no matter what happens. Romano again just confirming Xhaka to Liverpool, here we go. Deal agreed now for June 2026 as revealed. The fee is 60 million plus 10 million in add-ons to Ron, and Jeremy has agreed personal terms with Liverpool. So that'll be brilliant to come in the summer. We'll keep going for another 10 or 15 minutes, like I said, as the poll is running, and I'm genuinely intrigued to see your thoughts on that one. So yeah, let's keep going. What was this one? Oh, I wanted to talk about a referee moment today that Marco Silva was unhappy about in the United game. And I know we've got some United fans that watch, so I'd like your opinion on this. So, he said the game started with a horrendous, terrible decision from John Brooks with the penalty he gave, a big mistake. It was the first time we've seen in the Premier League that the referee gave a penalty from a tackle and the VAR came back with a free kick for a different foul. Because the decision was so bad, they found a different foul like the pull. I know why the penalty was given. The VAR went in a completely different direction to find something to be able to give the free kick. So Marco Silva felt like that decision was absolutely incorrect. Now, I wasn't watching the United game. I have seen the incident since. But Silva feels like because they got the penalty decision so wrong, they still needed to find a way to justify it and then ended up changing the decision from a penalty for a tackle that was fair to one for a foul that occurred outside the box. Genuinely love to get your take on that one. Biggie Mall said, would Connor use the new studio? This has been a question that I was expecting. The studio was built for me. So whatever happens with the studio space, it's made for me and for my family and for our usage. So would Connor use the studio moving forward? No. We'd probably stick with the green screen. Yeah. So that's the answer to that question. In a short answer. He's got a point. It was really weird. Said Eager 6874. Not proper use of VAR though. They were just supposed to rule whether it was a pen or not. This is one of the things about VAR that's been so confusing. The tolerance of not re-refereeing the game that we're always told about. Did you see the Villa game? So Villa lost to Brentford and Villa thought they had an equaliser. And it was brought back for an incident 19 seconds before Tammy Abraham put the ball in the net for Villa. And it was a judgment on whether the ball was in or out of play at the opposite end of the pitch down near the corner flag for a throw-in. And Villa's equaliser that they thought they'd scored was ruled out for something that happened 19 seconds previously. Now, if that isn't re-refereeing a game of football, I don't know what is. So, again, I'm going to say VAR is absolute pony, and they have, again, found a way to start taking goals away from a low-scoring sport. 19 seconds feels a bit long for it to be considered a similar phase or anything like that. Yeah, shocking. Chasing Vlog said, I really wanted United to lose, but I also do want to see that one guy cut his hair after 5 United wins too. Yeah, I'd like to see him cut his hair as well. That would be cool. Yeah, I'm sure he deserves that little yoke, but he's got 3 now, I think, isn't it? 3 wins on the bounce for United. So he's 2 away, I think, from getting his hair cut. So fair play. So if people are saying to me, Romano, here we go, we covered it like 10 minutes ago, the Jeremy Jacquet. So if you are joining us, yes, it is indeed true. The here we go for Jeremy Jacquet did come in for Fabrizio Romano. 60 million euro plus 10 million in add-ons, and he's already agreed personal terms with Liverpool. So that is the breaking news this evening. Yeah, sorry, I'm just reading it here again now. Jeremy Jacquet to Liverpool, here we go. Deal agreed now to June 2026 as revealed. The fee is 60 million euro plus 10 million euro in add-ons, and Jeremy has already agreed personal terms. So welcome to Liverpool Football Club in the summer, Mr. Jeremy Jacquet, and of course, wishing him all the best. He won't be coming in until the summer, so we won't be getting him now. He'll be going He'll be going back to Ron, and then he'll be coming in the summer after the season. Right, so again, we have a poll running that somebody suggested in the chat earlier on. Who turned the game around against Newcastle? Arne Slot and his coaches, the players, or both? Nathan Green said, great signing, of course, but we need a centre-back for the here and now. Shot by Evie said, shame GEERTRUIDA didn't work out because but Xhaka deal's good nonetheless. But again, remember, Xhaka won't be coming in until the summer. So, don't be expecting a player to come in here and now. Hang on a minute. A couple of things before we all get too excited. Alex Crook said, verbal agreement between Liverpool and Ron for a summer move. Fees 55 million plus 5 million. Chelsea could match, but sources close to the player and Ron said they both now prefer Liverpool medical tomorrow. Another piece here. Credit and Jacobs and Alex Crook said Chelsea could match the offer, but sources close to the player and Ron say they both now prefer Liverpool medical tomorrow. So fingers crossed on that one. Sonder said, Craig, I got my guy. Please stay. I love you, mate. I will finish up with some information on me, mate, before I finish up tonight in the next few minutes. But for now, let's just talk centre-backs. Shane said, I don't want him to get the permanent job. Shane's a United fan. I don't want him to get the permanent job, but I absolutely love Michael Carrick as a player and as a manager. And also, please stay, Craig. I loved him as a player, not for you, but just genuinely as a player. I thought he was an underrated midfielder. And it's been mad seeing you guys win 3 in a row, including games at the Emirates, a derby over Manchester City, and then to turn that one around again today, like when it got pegged back to 2-2 to go and get the winner. So it feels like something's tangible there for you lads at the minute, and something to get your teeth stuck into. Also, somebody else pointed out, Shane, earlier on, you've got a full week now between games for the rest of the season. So, really in with a good chance there of getting Champions League footy. I hope we won't see you. I hope we won't see you the last time, Craig, said Adamus. Again, I'll get to that in a moment, mate. Paul Joyce now tweeting, Liverpool agree fee for Ron Jeremy Jacquet, 55 million pound plus 5 million pound deal for the summer. So again, good news. Isn't it silly to agree a deal now? What if he gets injured? That's yeah. I mean, I remember feeling that way as well about the Naby Keita deal. But ultimately, I guess if these are the only way you can get the guy you really want, you do what you got to do to get the deal over the line. And if Jeremy Jacquet was the guy that they really, really wanted, and they obviously looked at this and thought, well, it's worth the wait to get the one that we want. Right, nearly at 1,500 votes, and then we will knock this on the head, and then I will start to wrap up this evening's stream. So, a couple more votes, and we'll see how everybody feels about the turnaround of the game last night. Jamie Hall says, Jacquet is an excellent player and ready to fit straight in. We need someone now and not in the summer. I know. I agree, but look, I'm still happy for the club to get somebody in for the longer term as well. Like, I want somebody for the here and now as well, because I do think it's a situation that could haunt us this season, because we don't have enough depth there. Right, we need 18 more votes. 55 million on a player, but won't fork out to 20 million for Gay. Yeah, that's got me stumped. and confused, mate. It'd be interesting if we do hear what type of wages Xhaka is going to be on. That would be an interesting one as well. Gay's wages were 300, hence why we didn't pay 20. That's just not true, though. That's what City agreed with him. But again, we were supposed to pay him 200 grand a week when we were paying 35 million quid for him. And when we were going to get him on a free signing, he was going to be on upwards of 250 grand a week. So I don't think it was the wages solely. But like I said, it'll be interesting to see the overall package and the numbers involved in this one with regards to wages as well. David Ornstein said Liverpool have agreed a deal with Ron for the signing of defender Jeremy Jacquet. The deal will be for the summer and is expected to be worth £55 million plus £5 million in add-ons, with personal terms not said to be an issue. So again, you've got the confirmation there from Ornstein, from Joyce, from Romano. Yeah, it's pretty much everybody. Liverpool view Jacquet 20 as being a more valuable long-term acquisition than Gay in their model, hence the push to sign the France youth international. Interesting. Well, fair enough. Look, that's like I said, they have their prerogative of what they think is the right plan for the club. Yeah, look, it is what it is. It's good news. So we'll welcome Jeremy Jacquet to the club in the summer, right? So we asked who turned the game around against Newcastle. The players, both, or Arne Slot and his coaches. 67% said the players, both 25%, and Arne Slot and his coaches 8%. So, folks, to finish up, I started off tonight's stream talking about the toll that the last few months have taken on me personally, mentally, physically, emotionally, and it's catching up with me, and I'm tired, and it's been really difficult to see, again, the fans that I vocally stand up for belittled as being toxic or negative because, you know, they're online and they're not at Anfield every week. And I said I don't know how much more I have in me, because that's the truth. So I don't know if I'll see you again. I'm going to take a couple of days to see how I feel. We know Connor's more than capable to step up. We know that there will be other people available as well to come in and deputise and back him up if needs be. But whatever happens over the next few days, I want to say thank you. Again, and I haven't truly made up my mind yet. I got to see how I feel, and I got to take some time away because I'm hurting a lot. And I'm going to be selfish for once and take a bit of time to see how I feel. So I'll be recording a podcast with the lads tomorrow, and some clips of that'll be going out because that was already in the schedule and that was what I agreed to do. But I'll let you know where my head's at over the next couple of days. Yeah, but thank you for it all. And much love. We'll talk soon.